Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I purposely didn't mention the name because I am actually currently going through a huge rebrand. And by the time I release this episode, I don't even know what the podcast will be called anymore. It may still have the same name because the rebrand is a slow transition I'm taking, but it may not, and at some stage it will change. So anyway, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a little while. As I said, I am actually going through quite a transition period at this moment. And that is a big part of what this episode is about. So today I wanted to really talk about something that I have been going through, something that has, I guess, been a long time coming. But, so, for a little bit of context, in October, I went away on sort of a retreat kind of thing in Ubud, Bali. And if you know Ubud in Bali, it is quite an intensely spiritual place. A lot of very intense energy is there. And it was quite fitting for me because the retreat I was on, it's not necessarily called a retreat, but it was basically a place where I went and I lived with another 12 entrepreneurs for 10 days. And goodness gracious me, it was nothing like I had expected. It was nothing what I was wanting, but life being life, the universe being the universe, and I think especially the intense energy of Ubud, as someone said to me, it's Ubud medicine. It really gave me what I needed. And it was not easy. It was a very tough 10 days, very arduous, a lot, oh my god, of personal growth. It was like a year of personal growth smashed into 10 days, it felt. So it's taken me a while to kind of come back and integrate these lessons and kind of integrate, yes, but also fully allow myself to step into those. And a big part of that for me is a couple of things, but one of the things for me, and that is what this episode is about, I never quite felt like I fit in with this community, and actually since the retreat I've mutually left the community. I just didn't feel like it was aligned. It wasn't a fit for me. And nothing wrong with the community itself. It's a great place. I took a lot of value from it. But business-wise, it just wasn't for me. I didn't felt like the people inside the community, the founders of the community, wonderful people. Honestly, it was a great place, but we just don't do business the same way. And that was a big part of what I really had to learn during those 10 days. Before I went in, I really still went in holding a lot of these stories of I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough, business is growing too slow, I don't, make enough content, I don't do enough, sales calls, I don't post enough, I don't have this energy of like forward pushing in my business. I'm not super focused on efficiency and productivity and insane amounts of growth and profit. And while not everyone in the community was focused on that, it was a very big part of the community. And the reason why I did join was because there's still a lot of values that they hold that I still have, which is about, freedom, location freedom, time freedom, building a business you love, these kind of things, which are very much aligned with my values, as you probably already know. But what lacked for me, and not everyone in the community again, but there was a disconnect for me in the way people do business. Is a very, very masculine way of business. And that is essentially what I am stepping into now, stepping away from, I guess, is this masculine way of doing business and life. And so that is what this episode is about. It is about what I have coined, actually just today, it intuitively came to me, the soft rebellion. And it feels kind of like a rebellion, but not in the, overt sense of let's fight, let's rise against, let's rebel against authority. It doesn't feel like that. It is basically for me at least, it's a returning to my soul. It's a returning to what I feel, what I've always felt deep down in my soul, is how life and business should be for me and for a lot of other people, I'm sure. And we have this, and what I saw, what I've seen, what I continue to see, and I've seen this my whole life, and it continues to get deeper and deeper. And of course part of it comes from, and I'm not going to go into this right now on a deep level because I don't really care about it, but we could talk about it. Capitalist society, after the Industrial Revolution, like everything speeding up, everything getting faster. We care a lot about productivity and efficiency and profit and rapid growth and these material and numerical values that we place a lot of significance on, and doing things fast. And a friend of mine actually said this recently, like yesterday, we were talking by voice note, and she actually said to me this comment, and she said, well, for what? To what end? What is the purpose? Because that specific conversation she was referring to was actually about AI. And, someone had said, it's efficient and it allows me to do more work. And she said, that's great, but for what? To what end? What is the purpose of more work? So you can do more work? Where does it end? And we were having this conversation because we were talking about how we do not, we don't hate AI, we don't dislike AI, we just question why, we have questions about, I guess, a lot of people, well, sure, AI is more efficient, but to what end? Why do we need that efficiency? For what purpose are we growing? Why do we need that efficiency? What are we going to then spend that extra time on? And sadly, for most people, it's just going to be more work, faster growth. And it's just to what end? Why do we need this insane growth, this profit? And another friend of mine said, he was really noticing in himself that he was finding this shift for what he had been about before in business, which was profit. And, revenue and profit margins and, all this very business type of stuff. And he found that now he's really stepped into something that he finds is really giving him more purpose. And he wants to be around more people and in communities that are more focused. Of course, we still want profit, but less focused on profit and growth and, how can I grow my business faster and how can we make it more efficient? And these, make it a well-oiled system and move into, well, how can I serve more people? How can I, have more purpose? How can I fulfill my purpose? And sure, efficiency and productivity, AI, technology, there is nothing wrong with any of this, honestly. It's all about the energy. It's all about how you use it. But what I've noticed with myself, I've always felt this pull of I don't like to use this word, but I've always felt this pull inside of me of very anti-masculine ways of doing things. And I'm very grateful to myself that pull has always been there from when I was young. And going against it felt very, very literally my soul dying. And I remember growing up, before I got into any of this work, I attribute a large reason to why I was so depressed for so long was because I saw no other way. Like, if I wanted to be successful, I had to adhere to this masculine way of doing business and life and work, etc., and career. And that used to eat me alive, just the thought of like, well, I literally have to choose. Like, I have to choose to sell my soul or be successful. Like, I have to choose to live by my soul, like live in what makes me happy, or be successful, sell my soul and be successful. And neither of those sounded like good options to me. And so I felt trapped. I felt completely fucking hopeless. And so after this residency, it really solidified. So the first I said it was like a twofold kind of thing. The first thing was really that. Like, I felt like I wanted to go in there and fit in. And I felt like I didn't fit in. And I really learned that I didn't need to fit in. And that may sound very simple and like, well, duh. But for some reason in my mind, I'd kind of thought, no, these are my people and I need to fit in. And I thought I was going to go in there, and the problem I thought it was, of course, we always think it's different to what it is, was that I thought I was too closed off. I thought that the reason why I never fit in anywhere is because I wasn't opening myself up. I wasn't emotionally available. I wasn't available to these connections. And when I realized a big part of that was, it wasn't just about fitting in, but it was seeing that, fuck, I am open. It's literally just that I'm quite different. And I won't gel or mesh with a lot of people. And that's actually okay. And I can be totally okay with myself. Because I love how I am. And a lot of people may not. And that's okay. A lot of people may find my willingness to go deep, be vulnerable, get intimate, be very open emotionally, sensitive, as I often call myself, willing to feel all my emotions, willing to go to the depths of whatever it is, willing to sit with those things, willingness to always be, looking at myself and bringing self-awareness to these parts of me and take responsibility for how I'm feeling in the moment and my actions. Like, not everyone is going to be willing to be at that level, be at that depth. And that's nothing wrong with them. It's just where they're at. And so this whole time I thought, it's something wrong with me. But the only quote-unquote wrong thing was that I hadn't fully accepted that I am the way I am, and that is actually a beautiful thing. And that really, wove into this fact that I am not here to be that masculinized, forcing, pushing, grinding, hustle way. And after I came back from Bali, it led to this conversation with my friend about how even, we talk about so much now about, like feminine business. But a lot of that is just, come into like this boss babe era. And this, we have basically as women, in this, I guess, like feminist movement of, well, if men can do it, we can do it. And that's all well and good. But in that, we've just conformed to masculine ways of doing things. And we've just conformed to capitalism and pushing and hustle and grind. And sure, women can do it. No one's telling us that we can't anymore. But are we meant to? Do we want to? These are questions that, like, I'm so grateful for my soul was always pushing me towards. And since I've come back from Bali, I came back at the end of October now, so it's been a little over a month. I've really just been integrating into this, like how it is okay for me to let go. It is okay for me to do business how I want. And as I said, I feel like the whole year has been leading up to this, because little nuggets from the beginning of when I started my business, from, just early in the year, people would say things and I pick up on, going slow, go slow, go slow, slower, 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 slow down. And I remember at the start of the year, I would say, I am going slow, I am slow, I'm slowing down, I'm slow down. And now I realize, no, I still had not slowed down. I had kind of tricked myself into believing I'd slowed down. But I still kept getting pulled in that direction of slowing down. And recently, this podcast is going all over the place. This is not how I imagine this would go, but whatever. Let it flow. Recently, I went off social media. And I actually am considering in the new year, when I kind of relaunch my brand, to actually take my business off social media as well. At least, traditional social media. There may be other platforms, but right now I'm not really totally being pulled towards anything. But I just realized, since I've gone off social media, it's only been a week or so, how much more space I have in my life and how much calmer things feel. So since I got back from Bali, for context, I really was feeling, okay, it's time, now that I had kind of released a lot, and I really saw, it's okay. And a big lesson in that also for me was that I had been gripping onto my business and to money so tight before I left, trying so hard. And when I was in Bali, I didn't even work, honestly. All I did was client sessions. I did nothing else. No marketing, no admin, literally zero. Nothing at all. No posts on social media, nothing. And I made more money in those 2 weeks in my business than I had for months. I think the last 3 months. And it just also, solidified that calling, that soul yearning, that soul desire, and that deep feeling I had that more work does not equal more profit. More work does not equal more money. More trying does not equal more clients. Posting every day does not mean I'm going to get more clients. Doing a podcast episode a week does not mean I'm going to get more clients. What allowed me to get more clients was letting go, enjoying myself, being present to where I was in the moment in Bali, not even thinking about business. These things were what allowed me to truly step into my feminine being, my true soul, and just allow the universe to bring things to me and literally just allow myself to receive. And it felt so good. And so I forgot where I was going with this. So yes, it really reiterated this. And so since I've come back, I've barely been on social media at all. But I noticed in my personal life, I'd started kind of using social media a bit, especially Instagram. And it just kind of made me realize I noticed I was trying to slow down. But in this trying to slow down, it was like I was in this weird kind of void. The part we all go through when we're starting to bring awareness to something where we want to change or grow. And in the awareness of it, it feels like it gets worse. And it's not actually that it's gotten worse. It's just that you've brought awareness to it. So suddenly it feels like it's gotten worse. And so that's where I was at. I was like, okay, now, I've been shown this. The universe has really shown me this. And my time in Ubud really, allowed me to solidify into my faith of the universe, my connection to the universe, this real connection to source. I'd never felt a deeper connection to source and to the universe than during my time in Ubud. And since then, I've really deepened into that connection, that faith, that belief that honestly, like, the universe supports me. And so I was, really slowing down, I was really trying to slow down. And in the awareness of it, I noticed how I felt like the more I tried to slow down, hence the more awareness I was bringing it to, the faster I felt like I was going. It didn't feel like I was slowing down at all. And I noticed for some reason, in my personal life, not so much on my business account, but in my personal accounts, I was really getting caught up in social media. And I'd made some new friends, and we had group chats on Instagram, and so I don't have it on my personal phone, but I would come home and go straight to my business phone, and I'd log straight into Instagram, and then I'd end up scrolling for the next hour. And I noticed I was doing this way too much, and I just noticed how much space it was taking up. And in just the week since I've deleted my account, I just decided I'm fucking over this. I'm done with this. I need to get serious about this, because it's making me stressed. It's making me feel overwhelmed. And life as a whole was not overwhelming. There's too much noise. There's too much information. It's just not healthy for me. And in the week since I've deleted it, oh my God, it's like night and day. My whole nervous system feels so calm. I feel like there's so much space. My head just not constant chatter. And in that space, I've really started to feel more into how I don't really want to be on social media at all. It honestly brings no value to my life whatsoever. Sure, there are some minor value, there are some things, but in the scale of things, it doesn't. It just doesn't, and I don't want to contribute to that. Even if I feel that my content is, valuable, I believe that there are other ways to deliver it that aren't going to contribute to that short form content, that dopamine hit, that addictive scrolling of social media. And I didn't think at the beginning that I would feel this way, but it's really, we do live in this society right now, and it's only speeding up, as I mentioned before with AI. This, hyper masculine push, go, hustle, grind, efficiency, productivity, information, overload, analyze, logic, go, profit, efficiency. I'm just rambling now, but you get my point. Consumption, information overload, consumption overload, that we are spoiled for choice in what we can consume. Everything, we can basically get it at the click of a finger right now. Anything you want, you can have. We live in a pleasure-based society. But, as my friend said, for what? What is the purpose of it? To what means? To what end? You can be more efficient. For what? What are you going to spend? If you can take things that used to take 5 hours, now take 1 hour, what are you doing with that extra 4 hours? Are you spending it doing meaningful things with family, connecting, being in nature, experiencing new cultures, slowing down, spending more time in bed with your pets, with your loved ones, with friends? Highly likely not. highly likely that a lot of people are spending that extra 4 hours scrolling on social media, consuming information they don't need to consume, watching, I don't know, whatever, doing whatever, like things that are not valuable. And we are moving like away from connection. And it's been proven now that connection is a basic human need. We still kind of live in this world where we believe that, the basic human needs are like food, water, shelter, air. But connection to people, to each other, to nature, to, the, source, God, like that, even if you just call it earth, that deeper, something deeper than us, those things, that connection, that is also a basic human need. And we're forgetting that in space of productivity and constant connection, dopamine hit, but not connection in a deep connection, and constantly be connected to what's happening and what's going on and the latest trends and blah 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 blah, like improving yourself and this and that. And don't get me wrong, like I am all for self-improvement, because I'm constantly wanting to improve, but not, again, it's rebelling against that need for self-improvement in the way that society says you need to self-improve. I'm not striving for perfection. In fact, part of self-improvement for me was letting go of the idea of perfection and accepting myself as I am and how I will be. Meaning, as a 35-year-old, I've had to start accepting, aging, and it's hard. But, that's a big part of it, is accepting that, yeah, I'm aging. The body ages. And, no matter how my physical body is, I accept it. I love it. And that for me is self-improvement. And slowing down it feels like a rebellion, because I'm going against the norms. I am choosing to really, well, I believe I am choosing to be a fucking boss babe in the feminine sense, not in the false feminine sense that is still hyper-masculinized. And if that's how you want to live your life, that's fine. But for me, my feminine soul does not align with that. I align with, and what feels good for me is deep breaths. Spending an hour in bed in the morning with my dog and my cat, cuddled up in my lovely pink sheets with my cozy blanket, because it is the middle of December and it's meant to be summer here in Australia, but it's still cold some days, and I haven't even taken my winter blankets off the bed yet, like crazy. Spending time in the morning, I put on some soft piano music or some morning soft jazz or some, peaceful, calming music. And I play that throughout my house. And I make breakfast. And I make my coffee, my hand-dripped coffee, slow coffee. And I sit and I drink it slowly. I savor those sips. In fact, I've still got a lot of it still here right now. Sometimes I take a bath in the morning. I don't wait till night. I take my bath in the morning. I work 1 or 2 hours a day. Maybe more if I'm feeling cold and, the seasons of life change. But right now I'm in a period of feels like a void. I'm not in a blossoming type of period. I'm in a very internal period integration period. I'm not yet ready to bloom and blossom and be very outward. And that's something I'm accepting. And that's a big part of, for me, slowing down is, and that's part of the feminine cycle and the feminine soul is we have a cycle. And these cycles, they may go monthly as our menstruation. Or, it's in cycles in business as well. And right now I am in a winter phase of my business. And the masculine story tells me that, well, oh no, you're not doing enough. You're not sharing enough. I don't feel pulled to share anything. Sure, there are probably things I could share, but they would feel very forced and they would feel very sticky and it wouldn't feel good. And yes, I'm recording this, but I've had thoughts of, no, you should share more, you need to post that, you need to do that. And where I'm at right now is no, it's okay. Even with my rebrand, I've had thoughts of, you're procrastinating, you're not doing it fast enough. And then I've had to come back to, everything will get done in the time it's meant to. And I just do not feel the pull to do it right now. I've done bits and pieces and it's coming along, but I just don't feel like forcing it out. And I'm done with that. I'm done with forcing it out. And where I'm really at right now, and I have been making income in my business. It hasn't been, like a standstill. But where I'm at right now is what I've noticed really coming up is this notion that, well, if I'm gonna, have a slow business and a slow life, then, well, that means I'm gonna have less income. And that's not true. I 100% believe it's not true. I'm just currently in the process of dismantling that belief system for myself. But 100% I do not believe it has to be true, and there are so many people out there that have already proven that wrong. But yes, it does feel like a rebellion. Going against society that tells us to constantly speed up. And I've been watching some videos lately, and I think it only is just becoming more and more apparent as this is exposing myself. But on how to be attractive and how to be charismatic. I've been watching videos like this lately, and they all say the same thing, especially as a feminine being. It's not about how you look. It's not about how successful you are, what you do. I already knew this, but it's your energy. And it's not just the energy of confidence. Yes, that's a huge part of it. But it's a regulated nervous system. The woman who has a regulated nervous system, who is present, comfortable in herself, and not even because she feels confident 100% of the time, but because she's so rooted in the present moment, she just doesn't even have time to think about, oh, how do I look? Oh, how does this, blah, 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 like, oh, is my hair okay? Oh, do I look fat in this? Like, oh, what about this angle? What are they thinking of me? Her nervous system is so regulated. She moves with such grace and poise. She's rooted in the present moment. And that all comes from having a regulated nervous system. And how can you have a regulated nervous system if you're just going from one thing to the next? You're just constantly keeping yourself busy. You're constantly overstimulated, constantly in your head, looking at the next piece of information, over-consuming information, just bombarded with things. You have no quiet in your head or in your life. How can you possibly have a regulated nervous system in those conditions. You are literally setting yourself up to fail. When you have space, and when you allow yourself the space, and you allow that to be enough. A big belief that I have been, integrating is that no matter how much I do, whether it's one client session a day or 5 hours of focused work, checked off my entire to-do list, whether it's one way or the other, it is enough. Everything I do is enough to achieve what I desire to achieve. Everything I do is always enough. It's enough. Because if I just do it, I let go, hand it over to the universe, I have faith that it will do the rest. Because we are co-creating. And that faith I have in the universe, that faith I also have in myself, I'm doing enough, I'm always doing enough. If I'm following my intuition, my pull, my true, deep soul, heart's desire, maybe some days that looks like, and it does a lot of times, right, especially right now, going out on my motorbike for, a 5-hour ride, along the beach, into the hills, in nature, having lunch at a cute cafe, whether it's with myself or with a friend. These are things that light me up, that light up my soul. I know that I can go on that ride if I feel pulled that day, and I will do zero work, and it may be a random Tuesday. I'll do zero work, and I know I can come home and I can still make money in my business. And not because I have efficient systems or I have a mini chat that that brings people into my funnel. That's not even it. I don't even have a true funnel. I don't have mini chat. I don't have reels scheduled. I have none of that. I build my business on true authenticity. And it doesn't mean that this is like an aligned business for everyone. But for me it is. And I feel like a lot of people it is too, but we still live in this paradigm of masculinized way of doing things. And so by following my true soul's pull to not do this, and to in doing that, rewriting the stories and letting go of the emotional baggage that tells me that I'm not enough for slowing down, or that I can't have success, or I'm not doing enough, or the shame and guilt I feel when I have more money than my friends and I work 1/10 of the amount of time as them, and I have a wonderfully regulated nervous system. I feel calm and at peace. It's letting go of all that and leading by example for those around me. That's where the work is. Letting go of that and allowing whatever you do, your being, you are already enough. It is enough. Hand it over to the universe. Trust, have faith that it will do the rest for you. As long as you follow your soul's pull, it will happen. And that's why for me, it's a soft rebellion. It's allowing myself to breathe, to lean back and relax, and create the life and business that feels true to my soul. Not a life and business that I think I want in my head. Maybe I think I want this super successful business. I actually don't want that. But hey, it's okay. I can still have the life I want. I can still have a mansion if I want. They're not exclusive. I can still have, the G-Wagon if I want it. Maybe one day I will. I can still have the luxury handbags if I want it. And a slow, feminine business that is built on femininity and connection, not productivity and efficiency and profit. Growth. I can have both. They're not exclusive. I can still make a lot of money and have a very authentic, one-on-one connected business. And I will prove it. And in the doing of that, I will also be extremely fulfilled and happy and joyous and satisfied. And at the end of the day, that is way more valuable to me than any amount of money, any amount of things. And if you're listening to that, I'm sure that's what you want too. So that's about all I have for today's podcast. This was less of kind of like a teaching, I guess, and more of just a sharing where I'm at and where, some things I'm going through and beliefs I'm working through, and I just want to be an example. It's just to show you that it's possible as well. I guess I just really felt pulled to share this. And yeah. If you would like to connect further, my website is currently under construction, so you cannot actually check it out. It will be launched soon though. Maybe if you're listening to this later on, it will be launched. So it still is www.bemhealing.com. You can always reach me, and as I said, I may not have Instagram anymore, so I won't plug that. But you can always reach me directly by email. That is beth@bemhealing.com. I can't wait to connect with you and to hear from you. So thank you so much. And if you're listening to this when it's released, have a wonderful holiday break, Christmas, New Year, whatever you celebrate. I'm sorry. And talk to you later. Bye.